Jimmy from themodbuilding.com, a website dedicated to the live-action role-playing hobby. Today's topic, weapon templates. Now it's springtime. That means LARP season's coming up. So it's time to dig out the weapons, throw some away, repair some, shake a little rust off of those old fighting skills, and maybe even came up with some new ideas over the wintertime. So we're going to talk today about how you can take a little extra effort now to save yourself some time later on. Alright? Now a word of caution. These weapon templates are really only useful if you're making weapons out of blue camp foam, or if you're going to make weapons that you're going to end up latexing later on. If you're making the old CPVC noodle type weapons, it's not as useful. So the first question that you're going to want to answer is what type of material to make your templates out of. I would highly caution you against using paper, and there's a reason for that. One, you only get a couple of uses out of it before you have to remake the template. And two, if you're in a high humidity environment, they're going to curl up. I have one template here that I made a couple of years ago. It's supposed to be a gun stock war axe. You can see it's curling quite badly at the moment. So this is essentially useless for making a weapon with. So don't use paper for your templates. Now, for a material that you should use, the first one is often free, easy to find, and is available in a number of different sizes. I'm talking about corrugated cardboard. Now, the best part about this is because it does come in a wide variety of sizes, you can make a template for just about any kind of weapon you can imagine with it. You're going to see that I have a few different examples sitting here of corrugated cardboard templates that I've used throughout the years for either short weapons, long swords, or this one that I used in a tutorial for a LARP that we helped out in their weapon guide a few years ago. The last material that I'm going to show you is a material called foam core, which is these black weapons right here. This is essentially styrofoam with a couple of layers of thin cardboard glued on. Now, why I like to use this material is because it holds up really well. If you're going to make dozens of copies of a weapon, this is the material to use. Now, what's the problem with using the foam core? I've never seen it in any length longer than 48 inches. So if you've got a longer weapon, you either have to tape it together, which then you've got the issues of a weak spot, or you're just going to have to use it for the smaller weapons. It's a bit of compromise, but it does last a good long time. Now, when you make your weapons, you're going to want to put some information on these templates, because it's better to check, and double check now while you're cutting out a piece of cardboard than it is to do so on the blue foam that you just spent $8 on for a roll and you just had enough for all your weapons. Alright? So the first piece of information I would suggest you put on there is going to be the core. You're going to want to put the core length. You're going to want to kind of outline it. You're going to want to put the minimum wall thickness based on your system. If you take a look at this weapon, you can see that I've marked it in a number of places. There's a center line. There is the thickness of the core. And then there is the minimum wall thickness for a safe weapon. Now, there's no color changes in this one, but I'm going to show you another template where I shaded the minimum wall thickness so it shows it a little bit better. So this is for a knife that I made last year. You'll see I have the groove here for the core, and then I shaded where the minimum wall thickness is. What happens is when I draw that out onto a piece of cardboard, I know that when I start designing the knife for aesthetic purposes, that as long as I stay outside of this gray zone, I'm going to make a weapon that's going to pass the safety inspection in terms of wall thickness. Alright? You're also going to want to put some other pieces of information on your templates. If your gaming system requires thrusting tips, you'll want to put a line to mark where the thrusting tip starts. You'll also want to put lines to show where the core ends and where the blue camp foam ends. That way, you can sit there and you can measure everything and make sure that you're meeting all the safety requirements. It also gives you an idea on roughly what the weapon's going to look like when you're done. This looks a lot more in proportion than some of the earlier templates that I made. And sometimes something that works out in your head doesn't quite look right when you make it into a weapon. So, a couple other tips for making your templates. First of all, if you have to cut out a groove for the core, there's a couple of ways you can do it. I'm going to show you 2 ways that I've done it, and I'm going to tell you why I like one over the other. Alright? So the first idea is to actually cut out the groove out of the template. I have a sword here that I did that to, made out of card. This is the cardboard template. You can see I cut the groove all the way through. Now the problem with this is the template isn't very strong anymore. This is not as big of a problem when you're using the foam core, but still, you're sacrificing some of the strength in return for that groove. Now what I found that works almost as well without having to risk the integrity of the template is to take a drill, find the center line of your template, and drill 2 holes into the template. You're going to see it on this. There's a couple of holes, one here, one here. So what this does is after you've traced the shape onto the material, you can dot, dot, remove the template, take a yardstick, draw a straight line right down the middle. So that keeps the template strong, but it also gives you the guidance that you need. So I hope that this has inspired you to make some of your own templates and to experiment a little bit in some of the weapons that you're going to build for your LARP season. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you soon.